I'm Leo Warder for Kit Guru. This case here is BitFenix Aurora, which is a little bit of a tongue twister because it supports ASUS Aura lighting. So Aurora. The case itself in the UK is £87 including VAT, which puts it in sort of budget enthusiast territory, so it's not cheap as chips, but neither is it massively expensive. It does, however, support some interesting features. It's big on glass, it's big on lighting. And it also has a surprise because this panel you're looking at is, according to BitFenix, crystal clear to showcase the hardware. In actual fact, it's tinted, as I will now demonstrate. You see, it currently has blue lights inside. And after I remove 4 thumb screws and pull the glass off, as you can see, it's white inside. White lights and, well, the motherboard lights are bluish. But white LEDs and white coolant. Tinted. There is a part of me that wonders whether this press sample's got tinted glass and others will, retail samples will come with, or retail examples will come with clear glass, which is what's promised, but who knows? I've got tinted, I'm going to have to assume tinted. The back panel is actually matte black. You cannot see what's going on the side, so essentially it's a black mirror, and the idea is you can just hide all your cables behind it and they're completely out of sight because you cannot see through the glass. This is completely true. This is black. That's tinted, but not, I would say, crystal clear. So, the lighting that comes with this case, well, no lighting comes with the case apart from this fella here, which is their Chroma, SSD Chroma, BitFenix SSD Chroma. And essentially it plugs into their light control system and it will illuminate one of your SSDs in a little sled. Now there are 3 SSD mats in this case, 2 in the front, 1 in the rear. My SSD is in the rear, which is why you can't see it. And I've taken out the 2 sleds to give me some working room. So the idea is that your little lighting thing clips around one of the sleds and then it illuminates your SSD in a chosen color, which is a novel feature. I'm not sure I've necessarily been lying awake at night waiting for this to happen, but fair enough, why not? Also, integration with ASUS Aura lighting. Now, we saw this before with Phanteks P400 Eclipse, and it worked very nicely indeed. Essentially, the case and the motherboard become a unified whole. I have no reason to doubt that BitFenix has pulled off the same trick, and that's absolutely fine. If ASUS has certified it, then great. I haven't in this instance bothered with an ASUS Aura lighting system because we've done that before, as I say. So instead, what I have gone with for lighting is a Phobia Flex Light controller and 3 of their lighting strips, a total of 42 pounds of lighting, 3 strips on the floor, front and roof. This is the Phobia little remote, IR remote, so you can change the colour. It's set to white at the moment, as you can see. If I was to go down the alternate route, the BitFenix system with their Alchemy 2.0 magnetic RGB LED strips, no less, that's 30cm strips £18, 60cm £22, so give or take you're looking at 40 odd quid to kit out your case, so about the same as the Phobia system, so there we go. In terms of the build, what we have, the motherboard is ASUS Rampage 5 E10. It's an E80X motherboard, and as you can see, it goes in quite nicely. The processor is an unusual one. It's a quad-core Xeon Broadwell. It has a 140 TDP, so it's basically 2/3 of a Core i7-6800, but the TDP 140 watts means the system gets stressed properly. We've got a whole bunch of Corsair DDR4 LED RAM. You can see that lighting away happily, glowing away rather. And then you've got a GTX 980 graphics card, and down the bottom we have a Seasonic Prime titanium power supply. No power supply cover in this instance, so you can see the power supply in all its glory. As it happens, the lack of power supply cover means that the cabling's a tad messy, but not, I think you'll agree, too bad. Cooling, which is obviously a big part of this build. Now, I could have simply chucked in an all-in-one, or indeed an air cooler, and that would have been absolutely perfectly acceptable. But BitFenix makes a feature of liquid cooling with this case because it supports either a 280 rad top or 280 rad front, and also they supply a bracket which can either go in the top or the front, which is for attaching your cooling reservoir, cylindrical reservoir. Now, the thing is, I wanted to use that in the front of the case and put the rad in the roof, but there isn't a lot of space up top. My Alpha Cool radiator wasn't going to go above the motherboard. There is not the clearance. An all-in-one, thin all-in-one would have gone there no trouble at all, and possibly a thin radiator with a custom loop. I'm not sure about that because there really is very little space. This mid-sized Alpha Cool was not going in the top, not no way, not no how. So the rad had to go in the front along with its Alpha Cool fans. That meant I was going to mount the reservoir in the roof. Now, the photos that BitFenix used to publicise this case show a pump res unit in the roof, so horizontal, and therefore the pump is hanging off the back of the thing, which presumably works okay. It's not my idea of ideal, however. So I've gone with a reservoir from EK in the roof, and I've put a Lang D5 pump in the floor, which has meant I've had to bang a couple of holes through the floor of the case. It's really thin sheet steel, very easy to do. So this is not absolutely as supplied. And then there's an EK block on the graphics card and EK block on the CPU. And the coolant is Mayhem's White Pastel, which just seemed appropriate given it's a white case with some black stuff going on. And I think overall it looks very nice. So, in order to give myself some working room, I had to pull some bits and pieces out of the case. So, this drive cage sits in the bottom. It's basically where the pump is. That had to come out. And that's, as I say, had I gone for a pump res unit, that would not, strictly speaking, have been necessary. But I've got one SSD in the rear. If I wanted to mount more drives, I'd have to have somewhere to go for them, rather to put them. Clearly that, in that respect, is going to cause some problems. I also took out this piece of hardware here, which is like an optical drive cage that goes up here, but there are no optical drive bays in this case. It's for mounting 2 more hard drives. They're going on rails like so, thus and thus. And I have to say that judging by the pictures from BitFenix and the spec, they fully expect you'll remove that cage if you're going to put a rad either in the front or the roof. 4 screws and out it comes. It's really easy. But while it looks like an optical drive mount, it is not an optical drive mount. The front of the case is plain. Airflow is good. It goes in around the sides of this panel. The front panel looks really quite sleek. Air flows through nicely. There's one 120 fan supplied as stock in the rear. If you want to populate either the top or the front, you're going to have to add those fans. On the bright side, it does mean any logical cooling system you might use, you're not going to be chucking away existing fans, but you get the 120 at the rear. That's it. Obviously, as I say, I've added 2 120s on the Alpha Cool, and overall the cooling is really good with this setup. When I was hammering the system away, the CPU and GPU are sitting there at 40 something, next to nothing, but then that's what you expect from a decent custom loop. If, on the other hand, you were to use a Core i7 LGA 11 5X and an all-in-one, it's perfectly possible the thing's going to be hammering away trying to keep the CPU below 70, because that's kind of the nature of the beast. If you've got a toasty graphics card in the middle that's trying to get the air out of the system, it's got to go somewhere. With this setup, cooling very good indeed. With another setup, it remains to be seen. Having said that, this case flows air plenty well, so I don't think cooling's the problem. The concern would be noise. With this setup, it is basically silent. The Asus Rampage 5 has a superb fan management system that basically calibrates all the fans and just clocks them all down to the minimum they need to be, and the result is it's really quiet. The noisiest thing by far was the pump. It's a Vario pump. I've turned it down. It's silent. I mean, you may not even be aware the thing's running. It is. But it is next to silent. So the BitFenix Aurora certainly can be very quiet and can flow plenty of air for cooling. Whether it does depends entirely on your chosen build and setup. In this configuration, it's absolutely superb. So overall, I have to confess, actually, Aurora surprised me. I wasn't expecting much from it, and it's delivered. In terms of the build quality and such like, it's not brilliant. I mean, when I removed the SSD bays, one of the threads was absolutely horrible. I mean, it's clearly horrible from the factory. It was like the screw had gone in and cut the thread when it was being made, and I had to really welly it to get it out. That wasn't very pleasing, but it goes together okay. The panels pop on and off. I mean, they take a bit of a pull, but they come off. It's fine. The glass goes on the side. The holes in the glass are not brilliant, but once these thumb screws are in place, you can't see it. It doesn't matter. It would be nice if that crystal clear glass panel was actually crystal clear, but hey-ho, you can't have everything. And in terms of the pricing, can't really complain. You do, however, have to factor in lighting if you want to go down that route, and if you're going for an Asus or a motherboard, that's going to cost you plenty. Such is life. If you like this video, thumbs up. If you don't, thumbs down. Leave us a comment, come and chat on Facebook. These are all good things. If you want more videos from Kit Guru, then click to subscribe. I'm Neil Walder for Kit Guru. This is BitFenix Aurora.